We were at a party with friends, while my girlfriend asked me out of nowhere if she could blow another guy. Everyone was shocked, and I was completely humiliated. Throwaway because my friends know my usual account. Last Saturday, my girlfriend, 24, let's call her Brittany, and I, 26, were invited to a party thrown by my friend John, 26. In attendance were a bunch of John and I's mutual friends, including friends from college, friends from out of town, and some of our coworkers. We work at the same company, and some friends of those friends. To give you a small amount of background, we've been together 8 months but known each other for over 3 years. We currently share an apartment. We're in a completely exclusive relationship, as far as I knew, and have not discussed opening up the relationship to include other. I have no interest in an open relationship at all. We're at the party, and we proceed to do the things you do at a party. We drink, fairly aggressively, but nothing outside the realm of what we've done before. Eat, tell stories. At about 11:30, I looked over and Brittany was in the corner of the living room where I was. She was talking to a female coworker of mine, Carol, and some guy I'd never seen before. We'll call him Adrian. I thought nothing of it, probably Carol's cousin or something. The night progresses normally, and about 1 a.m. we decide to move to the backyard. There were 7 there: John, me, Carol, 2 college friends, and 2 coworkers. We decide to start sharing college and drinking stories. One of the coworkers is telling his story, and this is where it all gets screwy. Brittany walks up in the middle of the guy telling his story. She's holding Adrian's hand. Everyone sees this and looks back at me. I felt my face get hot. I don't know if it was embarrassment or anger, and she asked me, "Babe, can I give this guy a blowjob?" I thought I was hallucinating. She even asks, "Please?" She's looking at me like a kid that wanted to buy a new toy. He has a giant shit-eating grin on his face like he just won the lottery. I said, "F no, Brittany." She turns and I thought I could see a small look of disappointment on her face. The group got awkward quiet, so I got up to go find Brittany and go home. Except I can't find her. I proceed to have a small panic attack. I check all the bedrooms, but can't find her. I'm thinking she left with Adrian. As it turns out, she had gone the long way back to the backyard to look for me. At this point, I'm so drained. I decide to take us home. Taxi. I asked her what the hell happened. Apparently at about midnight or so, Adrian and Brittany started talking. They had a lot in common, according to Brittany. They began to joke about previous relationships that they had. He used to have a girlfriend who would blow him at every party they went to. No matter how inappropriate it was, she could always do it. He made mention of how he wished she was here. That's when Brittany grabbed his hand and led him over to me. Apparently, it was all supposed to be a joke. I asked her if she would have gone through with it if I said yes. She said no, but something about her response isn't quite right. Sunday morning, she left for the airport to spend a weekend with her family. We have not talked about it yet. So, I guess I'm confused. On one hand, she could have just been joking, but I've never known her to joke like this before. She's usually more reserved. But what terrifies me more is if she's serious. I mean, we never had an explicit talk about exclusivity other than to say we are officially together. But I feel like exclusivity is implied. Or even worse, what happens if she just decides she want to do it anyway? Relevant comments. Comment. This was in front of your friends. Box her shit up before she gets back from seeing her family. Comment. OP hit the nail on the head by calling the situation humiliating, though I would add emasculating as well. In the world of action and reaction, you have exactly 0 alternative options to ending the relationship as far as I can see. In front of your friends, who sat there shocked, carefully gauging your reaction while trying not to appear as enthralled as they no doubt were. You have to distance yourself from this woman, and fast. You must demonstrate the grace and recovery that your initial reaction no doubt lacked. Not saying you mishandled it. No one expects the, "Please may I blow him?" She already has absolutely 0 respect for you, and now you are in a position where, unless you demonstrate decisive action, your friends will lose all respect for you as well. You gotta do it, man. She could not have humiliated you worse unless your parents were there. Update, 14 days after the first post. I want to begin by saying that reason I waited till she came back in town to talk to her about this incident was because I wanted to confront her about the joke and gauge her reaction in person. I can read her pretty well, so I figure I could tell if she was lying. While she was out of town, I decided to do some investigation on my own to figure out where she was during the time she was supposedly looking for me. I hadn't considered that she might have actually done it anyway, but some of your comments helped me out of complete denial. As it turns out, only 2 people at the party that I could get a hold of can tell me anything about where she was during that hour or so based on a rough time scale. The first only saw her slip out the front door, presumably to go around back to find me, at approximately 10 minutes before I remember going to look for her. That doesn't give me any solid evidence, though, because the timescale was so rough. It could have been as much as 20 minutes. The second account says that she was inside the house drinking by herself until the approximate time. Witness number 1 saw her leave through the front door. Nothing conclusive at all. On Saturday afternoon, when she came home before she had a chance to unpack, I told her that we needed to talk. She wasn't surprised. I sat down and detailed to her my recollection of how the night went, focusing away from the incident in question. I asked her if her memory of the night disagreed with anything I said. She conceded that my memory of the night was accurate from what she remembers. I then asked her to elaborate on what she asked me in front of my friends. I wanted to hear her side of the story. She mostly repeated her story about her conversation with the guy and how it was supposed to be a joke. The idea was that it was supposed to be so ridiculous, it would be obvious as a joke. She doesn't tell jokes very well, so she still has the benefit of the doubt. Plus, I can't prove anything based on the timescale because no one remembers the time exactly. Then I asked her to describe to me in very specific detail the events prior to us leaving the party. She said that she didn't really remember anything except going inside to grab a drink and then going to look for me to go home. I asked her why she went through the front door to come look for me when the last place I was in the backyard. At first, she has a surprised expression on her face, but then she broke down crying. For a full 5 minutes, she just sat there sobbing. I told her that she needed to be honest with me right now. Apparently, she doesn't remember anything specific, except maybe a couple of flashes that she thought were just dreams. On her way to the airport, she got a text message from an unknown number that said, "Can you believe last night?" She called the number and Adrian answered. Brittany, having no memory of the event, asked Adrian to explain. The story goes like this. After Brittany and Adrian walked away from our circle of friends, Adrian told her that if it wasn't a joke, she could meet him outside in his car at 2 and he wouldn't tell. She went inside for a few more drinks and left through the front door. She went to the car, blew him, and then came looking for me. Of course, I'm shocked and stunned, but I had prepared myself for this. I told her how disappointed I was, how hurt I was, and how humiliated I was. She had every opportunity to not let herself do this. She had every opportunity to come clean. She said that she was going to tell me when she got home. Bullshit. I told her to pack up the rest of her things and immediately leave. I give her the silent treatment until she left. She's gone about 15 minutes later. I haven't talked to her since that Saturday, except once to tell her she had a 4-hour window this Saturday to get the rest of her stuff. I gave myself a 2-hour buffer before and after the time I told her to avoid accidentally running into her. Luckily, the lease is in my name, as is most of the furniture and the dog. It'll be a struggle to cover all the rent by myself, but I'm looking into getting a roommate. I don't really want to be by myself every night. Since she moved out, she's been begging me by text message to talk to her. When I blocked her number, her friends started texting me. I'm blocking them, too. One time she did show up outside the apartment looking cold and miserable, nice touch, asking to just talk and apologize. I gave her the silent treatment and went inside my apartment, but she tried to follow me in, so I threatened her with calling the cops if she ever came around again. So far, so good. As for the work situation, I talked to John and most everyone at the party who was there for the joke. I apologized for my ex creating such an awkward situation for everyone. I didn't fill them in on the fact that she cheated, because honestly, I'm just too damn humiliated to admit that. The story is that the joke was enough to piss me off and break up with her, which is true regardless of her infidelity. My reputation at the office, I don't feel will be tarnished. These coworkers work in different groups than I do and aren't in my reporting chain. In addition, we all have a few drunk coworker stories, and at least mine wasn't my fault. Time will tell. As for me, I'm trying to take it well. I already worked out, so I'm spending double the time in the gym. I still think about it, and I'm still furious. I don't know why, but the thought of her blowing him is several times more sickening than her having sex with him. I'm really shocked. I would have never thought this of her. But I guess she never thought this of herself either. It's a real shame, because we agreed on nearly everything and got along so well together. There are still questions I would like answers to from her, but I know I'm just not going to get them, so I try not to think about them. Relevant comments. OP. I've been through a couple nasty breakups before. After the last one, I went to therapy and learned a lot about myself and how I deal with emotions. The thought I had through this process was, you cannot control the actions of other people, only the reactions you have to those actions. Her infidelity is not a reflection of my worth as a human being, it is a reflection of her lack of worth as a partner. Comment. Quite the reflection on her. I take it these were your friends, not hers. If the other way around, you may want to reveal what happened in the car so to gift her with a nice reputation. The guy she blew is a low-class piece of shit as well. Update. 356 days after the last update. I wish I could say it was as simple as kicking her out and moving on. The first couple weeks were great. I was riding high on the feelings of feeling empowered and in control of the situation. Things turned south really quick. The more I started to explain to my friends about what happened, the more time I spent reflecting on it. I soon developed a nagging sense of insecurity and a lack of self-worth. I hit the bottle pretty hard and ended up getting to some bad situations. I stopped going to the gym, isolated myself from my friends and family, and generally turned into the worst version of myself. I was drinking heavily, missing work. Because the whole incident happened at a function with coworkers, I had no escape from the same or fear. I tried to date for a while thinking that I could use the experience to get my self-esteem up. But every time I went out with these girls, I keep thinking about the cheating and how inadequate I felt. Needless to say, the dates didn't turn out very well. I had to see Brittany a couple more times to get everything settled up and move out of the apartment. Seeing her again absolutely killed me. I decided to start talking to a therapist 6 months ago and try a new treatment for my depression. Things started to turn around for me. I feel better than ever. I feel stronger and more capable, and I've learned to take heart in the fact that what happened was never an indicator of my self-worth and my value as a human being. I'm still single, but for right now I'm content in dating and patiently waiting for new things to come my way. I'm in line for a promotion at work, and I'm working on some professional certifications to stay productive. I moved out of our old place and moved to a much nicer part of town where I have 3 young professional roommates who enjoy sports nearly as much as I do. The work situation is going well. I can tell some people still feel very awkward around me, and I can tell that they want to ask questions but don't. That's just fine. I try to remain as vague as possible, while filling them in enough so that they don't feel awkward. A couple of them have even tried to set me up on dates. I just have to say, for everyone that's dealing with infidelity, it's absolutely critical that you get some help. Whether you decide to talk to friends or family or escalate to a professional, please seek counseling before you do something you regret or get yourself in trouble. Infidelity can feel like the end of the world, but it really isn't. Only you get to decide what you do with yourself. Please be strong. As for her, well, I don't know. I blocked her from every avenue of communication and did not give her my forwarding address. We didn't have many mutual friends to start with, though I did run into one of her old friends once a couple months back. Apparently, she went off the handle right after everything went down, moved back in with her parents, and stopped talking to many of her friends. Of course, I'm worried if she's all right, but that's not my problem anymore. Relevant comments. Comment. I remember your original post. Good on you for manning up and kicking her to the curb and for getting help when you needed it. Comment. Damn dude, I remember reading this. Man, I'm happy to hear you're doing better. I've dealt with infidelity and been through that whole shazam, so I know how hard it can be to come out of that ditch. But even though I don't know you, this made my day to hear you came out on top. Congrats, brother, and live strong. Comment. I'm really glad you posted this update because I think your experience is typical. A lot of people update after dumping their partner, saying how everything is so much better, but a lot of other people just don't update, and we rarely see one like this.